Hello, everybody. Today we are going to cover Genesis chapters 27 and 28. Well, what we have going on here is Jacob's deception when he is getting ready to deceive his brother Esau. And then from there, we will roll right into Genesis 28 when Jacob is sent away. So we will start our reading first with Genesis 27.
Genesis 27. When Isaac was old, and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau his older son and said to him, "My son?" "Here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now old, and I don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your weapons, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before I die." Now Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare some tasty food for your father just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies." Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a man with smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. She also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skins. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. He went to his father and said, "My father?" "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy, like those of his brother Esau, so he blessed him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's dew, and of earth's richness, and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you, and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed." After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered, "your firstborn, Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? He has deceived me these 2 times. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." Then he asked, "Haven't you reserved any blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So, what can I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father." Then Esau wept aloud. His father Isaac answered him, "Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from off your neck." Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is consoling himself with the thought of killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides. When your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I will send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living."
Now, this chapter has 47 verses in it, but what we're going to do is we're going to condense it down a little bit. What we'll do on a lot of these bigger chapters is once we finish the reading, that's the reason why we always do the reading first. Sometimes we will go over every single verse and reread it, and sometimes we will just let it stand as it is because we already read it. Now, we start by seeing that Isaac is old and that and that he senses that he is about to die soon. Notice verses 1 and 2. Now it came about when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim to see, meaning his eyes were getting bad, that he called his older son Esau and said to him, "My son." He said to him, "Here I am." Isaac said, "Behold, now I am old, and I do not know the day of my death." So it's like a lot of us may have had in our life. If you have had a relative who is sick, or maybe they're up there in years and they can kind of sense that the time is close. They're not saying that I'm about to die the next couple of minutes or even the next couple of hours or days, but the time is getting close. It could be a matter of months or weeks or even days. Now Isaac makes a request of Esau in verses 3 and 4. "Now then, please take your gear, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me." Remember, Esau was a hunter. "And prepare a savory dish for me, such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die." So this is actually Isaac's way of having one more really good meal that his son, who's the hunter, has gone out and probably caught and prepared for him his whole life. Now, the word soul, Hebrew 53:15, means his actual breath. And when he said that I may bless you, the word bless is Hebrew 1288, which is actually
1288. Barach.
Which means to kneel to bless God. So it is clear that Isaac wants to bless his older son, which is the custom. But if you remember, God already said the older will serve the younger, if you remember in Genesis 25. Now, actually, let's turn back there and look at that. So turn back a couple of chapters back to Genesis 25. Genesis 25, verses 21 through 23 says, Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was barren, and the Lord answered him. And Rebekah his wife conceived, but the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it is so, why then am I this way? So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 people shall be separated from your body. And 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. So that is just a actual reminder of what happened in this situation here. Okay, now Rebekah and Jacob plan to deceive Isaac, verses 5 through 19. Now, if you remember, Rebekah heard Isaac talking to Esau, and she knows that he's about to pass on the blessing to him. So she instructs her son on what to do. We read in verses 5 through 19. Now, it was odd that neither of them thought that this was wrong to deceive Isaac in this way. I mean, Rebekah went as far as to make a pair of goat gloves for Isaac, for Jacob to wear. So now this tells me 2 things. Number 1, Isaac must have been really hairy, because it says that they took the kid and she, like I said, she basically made a pair of goat gloves. Number 2, Rebekah really wanted to deceive her husband. Now, Isaac blesses Jacob, verses 20 to 29, and we will look at those again. Isaac said to his son, how is it that you have it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord your God caused it to happen to me. Now, not only is he deceiving his father, but he's even putting the Lord in and saying, well, it was the Lord who guided me to the game that I was hunting. Then Isaac said to Jacob, please come close that I may feel you, my son, whether you really are Esau or not. So Jacob came close to Isaac, his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, are you really my son Esau? And he said, I am. See, this is how the Lord does. We even get another chance to come clean. And he being Isaac was confused. He even asked Jacob again, is it really you? Are you really Esau? And with no guilt, it seemed that Jacob said, yes, I am. So he said, bring it to me, and I will eat of my son's game, that I may bless you. And he brought it to him, and he ate. He also brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father said to him, please come close and kiss me, my son. So he came close and kissed him. And when he smelled the smell of his garments, he blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field, which the Lord has blessed. Now, may God give of you the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and an abundance of grain and new wine. May peoples serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master of your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you. So, as we see here, he has now passed the blessing on to his son, to Jacob, even though he thought it was Esau. Now, we have to remember, in this time, this is how a father passed the blessing on to his son. It's like that saying that your word is your bond. So he has now passed the blessing on to him. And to close the chapter, we see that Esau learns of his stolen blessings. And we have already read verses 30 through 46. We remember what happened. Esau basically begs of his father, but it's too late because he has already passed the blessing on. Now, I also noticed in those verses that Rebekah deceives Isaac again by blaming the daughters of Heth as a reason to send Jacob away, if you remember the end of the chapter. And actually, I think we will read those. I think we'll read verse 46, just as a reminder. Rebekah said to Isaac, I am tired of living because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife from the daughters of Heth, like these from the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me? So what was happening here, and you can reread the verses if you forgot what happened, Rebecca now is coming up with an excuse to get to Isaac to get Jacob up out of there because Esau is now conspiring against his brother. That brings us to the end of chapter 27. Now let's read Genesis 28.
Genesis 28. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him and commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go at once to Padan Aram, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel. Take a wife for yourself there from the daughters of Laban your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessing he gave to Abraham, so that you may take possession of the land where you now live as an alien, the land God gave to Abraham." Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban son of Bethuel the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, who was the mother of Jacob and Esau. Now Esau learned that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and had sent him to Padan Aram to take a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he commanded him, "Do not marry a Canaanite woman," and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. Esau then realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac. So he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath, the sister of Nebaioth, and daughter of Ishmael son of Abraham, in addition to the wives he already had. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you, and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." He was afraid and said, "How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." Early the next morning Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head, and set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me, and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I may return safely to my father's house, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth."
Now, we start out chapter 28 by seeing that Isaac gives Jacob his last charge. Notice verse 1. So Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, "You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan." Now, this is the same request Abraham made to his servant for Isaac. If you will turn back to Genesis 24, we can look at that again. Genesis 24, verses 3 and 4. And they read, "I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live. But you shall go to my country and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Isaac." So we see that this is now passed on from father to son. Now Isaac sends Jacob to Padan Aram and blesses him. Notice verses 2 through 5. Arise, go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and from there take to yourself a wife from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And may God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may become a company of peoples. May he also give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your descendants with you, that you may possess the land of your sojournings, which God gave to Abraham. Now, Padam Aram was in Mesopotamia, which is south of Haran, which is in the northeast Syria. So that kind of gives you an idea of where this land was he was going to. Now, Esau finds a way to displease his parents after he wasn't given the first birthright, verses 6 through 9. And they read, Now Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take to himself a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he charged him, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan displeased his father Isaac. And Esau went to Ishmael and married, besides the wives that he had, Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth. Now, as we can see, Esau is still pretty bitter about what happened between his father, his mother, and his brother. And when he saw that, because basically what he wanted in the previous chapter was for Isaac to take the blessing away from Jacob and give it to him, what would have rightfully been his. But his father had to keep his word, so now he's upset. So now he realizes that this will displease his father, and that's what he does. Okay, now Jacob falls asleep on his journey and has a dream. Verses 10 through 15 read, Jacob departed from Beersheba and went towards Haran, and he came to a certain place and spent the night there, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head and lay down in that place. He had a dream, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give it to you and to your descendants. Your descendants shall also be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread out to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you and in your descendants shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Now, notice in verse 14, all the families. This does not point to a particular race or group of people, but everyone on the earth. That is very important, because there are some who will say that, well, there was only certain people who were to be blessed. But if you can read, verse 14 says all the families. Okay. Now, Jacob awakes from his vision. Verses 16 and 17 read, Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Why? Because where he was sleeping at, he actually saw the window of heaven opened up, and the angels ascending and descending. Now, Jacob makes a vow. Verses 18 through 22. Let's read them. Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put under his head and put it up as a pillar and poured oil on its top. And he called the name of that place Bethel. However, previously the name of the city had been Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and will keep me on this journey that I take, and will give me food to eat and garments to wear, and I return to my father's house in safety, then the Lord will be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that thou dost give me, I will surely give a tenth to thee. Now, notice the word Bethel, Hebrew 1008. That means house of God. Okay, let's look at verses 20 through 21 again. Jacob made a vow saying, if God will be with me and will keep me on this journey that I take and will give me food to eat and garments to wear, and I return to my father's house in safety, then the Lord will be my God. Now, we reread that to see that Jacob is making to see if Jacob is making a deal with God or not. What Jacob was talking about, now what was Jacob talking about when he said, I will give 1/10 to thee? Okay, turn a couple of books over. Let's go to Leviticus 27. Turn to Leviticus 27. And let's see what he was talking about. Leviticus 27 verse 30. Thus, all the tithe of the land, of the seed of the land, or of the fruit of the tree is the Lord's. It is holy to the Lord. Then turn a couple more books over to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 14. Deuteronomy 14:22 says, you shall surely tithe all the produce from what you sow, which comes out of the field every year. The reason I'm bringing that up is because what was it when Jacob said that if you bless me, I will give you 1/10? He's talking about the tithe of the land. Now, I've already made it clear, and this is probably my 4th time saying this, that money already existed. Okay, Jacob is not talking about giving back of the land because money doesn't exist. Money already exists. When you tithe of the land because the land comes from the Lord. The fruits, the vegetables, the produce, it all comes from the Lord. Now, before we close this out, I also want to point out that there's a lot of heretics out here who will tell you that if you do this for God, God will do this for you. But if you read these verses carefully, did you notice what Jacob was saying to God? He said to the Lord about his 10th, if you do this for me. He went through a list of things that the Lord would do for him. You know, if you guide me back to my father's house, and if you guide me on this journey, if you, Lord, do these things for me, then I will give you 1/10. Notice Jacob did not say, Lord, I'm going to give you 1/10. And when I do, hopefully you will do these things for me. He's saying to the Lord, Lord, you bless me first, then I'll be able to bless you. It's pretty clear where I'm going with that, and it should be pretty clear to understand. But Jacob was making a deal with the Lord. Why he was, I don't know. Why not just wake up from that dream and just realize that the Lord has chosen you, even though he's as crooked as a letter S, for a purpose, but he wanted to make a deal with the Lord. And then he goes on his rant about if you do this, and then these are the things I will do. It's also very important to notice at the end what that 10th was. And we read that in Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Okay, that brings us to the end of Genesis 27 and 28. God bless.
I've had many tears and sorrow. I've had questions for tomorrow. There've been times I didn't know right from wrong. But in every situation, God gave me blessed consolation that my trials come to only make me strong. I've been a lot of places, and I've seen millions of faces, but there were times that I felt so all alone. But in my lonely hour, yet those precious lonely hours, Jesus let me know that I was his own. That's the reason I say that through it all,